The Brawler is a fighting game archetype that seems easy to explain, but it's also a bit difficult. Strategy-wise, they're characters who swing in for big damage, but they don't usually have long combos. They just take off chunks of life with a swing of their limbs. And aesthetically, they tend to be fighters with a reckless style, usually self-taught or never even training at all, but they're just kinda strong on their own and that's how they get by. It's kinda hard to get it down to a body type like you can with a grappler or a rushdown character, but usually it's a big body who likes to punch hard. Either way, I'm going over my favorite self-taught or brawlers in fighting games. The only restriction is one character per series of origin. Now, let's pummel the top 10 brawlers in fighting games. Number 10, Diego from Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive uses realistic martial arts for the basis of character movesets, and then makes them fancy with that Dead or Alive magic. But one guy who has no formal training but a lot of experience is Diego from Dead or Alive 6. He's a Street Fighter without being in Street Fighter, where he just hits hard and tries to overwhelm you with whatever part of the body he's hitting you with. He's got a gut punch, overhead punch, charges in with his shoulder like a linebacker, and he headbutts you, just to name a few of his tactics. He basically bullies the opponent with as many hits as he can until they're against the wall of the stage. And the fun thing about stage walls in this game is sometimes they're alive, as in, his stage has people watching, and when someone is flung towards them, they'll push the character back out, leaving them open for combos, so Diego can follow up with more hard hits. Also, his throws are absolutely brutal, just point-blank headbutting or punching or kicking you while you're down, which is something he'll do regardless since he has a face stomp move. You just feel all that pressure when you block against his aggressive playstyle. And why does he do it? Well, for the fun of it, but the story reason he wasn't in prior games is because he loves his mom. He avoided the story so he could stay in New York to take care of his sick mother. Now that's the character we like to see. She tells him to pursue his dreams, which is why he enters the tournament, so he might have a very mean playstyle, but I can confirm Diego is indeed a good lad.
Keep them coming! I'll take them all!
Number 9, Bardock in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Bardock is cool as a brawler both lore-wise and gameplay-wise. Dragon Ball FighterZ has been revised so much at this point, it's hard to say the definitive way to play a character, and the combo potential is through the roof for everyone now. But Bardock's brawling nature lies in how strong his single hits are, and the simplicity in his combos, even when they can get long. On his normals, he has stuff like his two-handed overhead smash down on the opponent's head to bounce them, a far-reaching medium kick, his sweep, and a single key blast that hits hard. Being the brawler, he can't fire multiple in succession like other characters, so its sparseness is a trade-off for how can launch on hit, and it has advantage on block to get your next game plan of attack ready. And get ready to have no other projectiles, since that's all he has outside of supers. The man has his fists for the rest. For special moves, Rebellion Spear comes in where Bardock hits like a truck, leaving the opponent stunned in the air open for a combo. Tyrant Lancer is a strong-ass chin punch that can lead to combos or a beam follow-up, and it gives the opponent no time to hit him out of it with how long it's active. Finally, Raging Meteor is a different spinning punch that just goes through projectiles and can start a combo, but the projectile invincibility is amazing here. A brawler needs a way to get up close and do a big punch through all the non-punches, and this gets the job done. As for the flavor, Bardock was never an elegant fighter in the anime special. He's a Saiyan, which is a warrior race, and he's a low-level one at that, so he's built to last during a fight and is naturally strong, but he's not a trained martial artist. He just knows how to punch and kick and fire a beam and also all the great ape stuff. He literally was just a random warrior in a military force who accidentally became important. And this moveset reminds you that Bardock may be the father of Goku, but he certainly fights more recklessly than his son.
You're the one who's gonna die!
Number 8. Slayer from Guilty Gear. Slayer is not someone I would expect to be a brawler just by looking at him. We tend to think of brawlers as muscly dudes whose technique looks like they have no formal training, but it kinda does make sense when you think of Slayer as an old-fashioned brawler. He's not about street fighting, he's more about fisticuffs, your 1920s amateur boxing, only older. He's a vampire who's been alive for thousands of years, and he has overbearing strength that he limits to a few clean hits. He still does that one strong punch, he's just classy about it. The fight's done when he's bored or he has seen enough. He's got moves like his Mappa Hunch, which is the strong punch that moves him forward, and more famously, his Dandy Step, where he slides forward or backwards, and he can do many follow-ups out of it. You want to do the Pile Bunker? That's a strong punch. You want to do the Crosswise Heel? That's a kick. How about It's Late, which is a slug to end all slugs? And why not do some Helter Skelter to finish it off, which is a big ol' stomp? Also, I kinda downplayed it, but Pile Bunker should always be your choice. This is the move that does all the damage for him and pushes his opponent full screen. It does leave Slayer open, so you can't just throw it out, but Slayer players love this tool so much. Oh, and since he's a vampire, they gave him a Blood Suck command grab. Good for some combos or pressure setups. And even though I highlighted more of his fist attacks, I really like the pizzazz on his kicks. He's got a heel drop, this classy ass reclining air kick, and a slide, which is a slide. They're always good low attack tools in fighting games. All in all, Slayer shows us a more refined version of how a brawler can fight, but on paper, chunks of damage doesn't differentiate how neat or messy you are with your big hits.
Slayer, win.
Number 7. Azrael from BlazBlue. Azrael is one of the strongest characters in the BlazBlue universe when special powers are put away. Raw muscle, and it's reflected in his moveset. While every BlazBlue character has high combo potential when using all of their tools, including Azrael, his special moves give you the brawler beatdown and then set you up to do another beatdown attack. Plus, they just look strong. Forget the muscles. Look at him effortlessly rip up sheets of rock. Gustav Buster has him go half screen for a hit, and you might get a combo off it depending on where your opponent lands, but it knocks the opponent away and gives you advantage on block, so you can keep on punching regardless of the outcome. I've seen people win matches with this attack alone. It's pure concentrated brawler energy. Then he also has Tiger Magnum, a Wreck-It chain with 3 strong hits, which can be used in combos, but once again, you can also just use it on its own as a way to poke in and then hit your opponent far away with that last hit. Panzer Strike is an anti-air where he pursues the opponent with his knee and then dunks them. This is one of the most painful looking shoryukens in all fighting games. Sentinel Dump lets him slam down onto a grounded opponent, and then there's a lot more attacks continuing with the theme where he just drops his fist or foot down on you to send the opponent up or back or what have you. To make up for his lack of projectiles, he can absorb his opponent's projectiles and save them for his own fast projectile in response that hits as hard as his punches. But the big gimmick of Azrael is he can reveal weak points on his opponent, either high or low. When the weak point is active, certain attacks have effects that open up combo opportunities, like sending them upwards or splatting them against the wall, and then he can just go crazy. It goes with the whole brawler mindset that you know right where to punch your opponent to maximize pain. There's a lot of intricacies to which attacks work with which weak points that I'm not as well versed on as the Azrael mains out there. I primarily like it when he can do small punch and big punch, and this man is really good at big punch.
貴様の力はその程度ではないはずだ。
Azrael, win!
Number 6. Sasquatch from Darkstalkers. Darkstalkers might have a few brawlers on the roster. Most of them don't have a strict martial arts discipline because it's a monster fighting game. They kinda just go by instincts. As such, some characters just rely on those big hits for big damage. Victor comes to mind with his enlargeable limbs, but I called him a grappler before, so I'll stick by that. Pyron also strikes me as a brawler with his strange yet fitting guile stance, but if I had to go by by aesthetic and moveset, Sasquatch feels the most brawly of the game. I mean, he's Bigfoot and they took it literally when designing him. His fists are huge, his feet are huge, his mouth is huge, he's huge, and he uses all of those tools when fighting. All of his normals are massive. He may have short range, but he can move quick, where he can just stand there doing his flick to catch his opponent, but if he misses, he can just dash around to do it again, or any of his other giant punches or kicks. And for his special moves, it's all about big. They all have big in the name. Big Blow, the spinning punch. Big Typhoon, the spinning kick. Big Towers, where he creates giant ice spikes that can anti-air and freeze. Big Banana, well that's just a banana, it doesn't seem that big to me, but he can eat a lot of them, and it's a slip hazard. And then there's other odds and ends with the word big in it too. He's got a freezing move, an ice beam, a move where he freezes the ground causing your opponent to slip and fall through it, and his big brunch command grab, where he eats you and freezes you, which can open up combos and is possibly his best tool for how long it freezes the opponent close to him. With skills like this, he is able to do short combos, so he's a bit more agile than you'd expect from a brawler. But as I said, he looks the part the best, and come on, would you really want to get in a brawl with this guy? Number 5. Juggernaut in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. I'm not sure who the best brawler is in the history of Marvel vs. Capcom, but the guy who stands out to me the most is Juggernaut. Like, just in general. Juggernaut is memorable because he's so massive and looks kinda silly with the helmet, but that also might be because it reminds me of mid-2000s memes. Though he is unintentionally funny in the game with his ho 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 laugh and saying the straightforward phrase of, "I'm Juggernaut!"
I'm Juggernaut! I'm Juggernaut!
Comedy aside, his frame is so huge, you know this guy is gonna be the no combo, one punch, all damage guy just by looking at him. He has the highest damage output of individual hits of all characters across the games. His recovery sucks on heavier attacks, but it's cool just how much he can take off on contact. He actually has good range because he's such a big body, so just be careful throwing out any of his limbs. His signature move is Juggernaut Punch, which is just a stronger punch than his normals, but it's what you'd expect. It sends the opponent flying. His other major physical attack is his Body Splash, which is a body slam. Good air move and good for getting in with a bang. And for a pseudo projectile, he can do an earthquake, and yeah, the strongest man in the world can slam the ground. Makes sense. I also like this command grab where he hammers his opponent like a nail, but they took it away in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so a lot of people forget about it. It's a funny move, why couldn't they let him keep it? He also has this move that boosts the power of his next attack, but I'd never found myself using it. But it shows off, yeah, he likes that one strong hit. He may be outranked by the more agile and combo heavy characters, but he's great when you just want to smash things without being the Hulk. Number 4. Kano from Mortal Kombat. Without a doubt, Kano has the brawler vibe of the roster. His character has evolved over time to continuously get more aggressive with his impromptu brawling, along with getting hairier and more Australian. He technically is trained in Aikido, but looking at it, he more goes with bar fight slugging and slamming, and some knives and cybernetic crap mixed in. He's rude, crude, and lewd, and starts off the fights by getting drunk. While his most iconic moves are the Kano Ball, where he turns into a ball and defies gravity, and anything with knives, where he just cuts through the opponent, I think an underrated part of his moveset are all the mid-combo grabs he has. He just loves all those extra hits where he takes a second to slam down the opponent, bouncing them up to continue the combo. It all screams, I wanna hurt you more for fun. It evolved from his choke move, which was a blockable grab in older games and looked very silly, but it turned into him just using raw strength to squeeze the opponent in any way he can. And to go off of that, the brawler in his nature is just how much he fights dirty. He's all about those kicking you while you're down moves. Literally, he can kick you while you're down, but he also has tools like hidden boot knives to sneak in that extra hit on his kicks. One of my favorite details is during his X-Ray Super in Mortal Kombat 11, where he adds in that extra grounded kick, but it doesn't even go into X-Ray damage mode visually. He doesn't hurt his opponent that much with the attack, so he just does it for the disrespect because he's an ass. Kano can do some pretty long combo strings depending on the game, mostly because Mortal Kombat combo potential can be high for every character depending on the game's ceiling, but overall, he still very much embodies the spirit of the brawler. And unrelated to the brawler aspect, Kano's just really funny. They've been making him funnier over the years, where Mortal Kombat 11 and the 2020 live-action movie were the peak of his comedy. Like, just go watch the dinner scene in that movie for Kano's best moments. He's got the most creative use of swears and talks about butt stuff. Anyway, that's Kano.
Kano wins.
Number 3, Miguel from Tekken. Miguel is a brawler through and through. His backstory has him join the fight for revenge with no history of training beforehand. In his premiere game, Tekken 6, we learn his sister was killed when the former protagonist, Jin, was using his family business to start armed conflicts around the world to unleash an ancient demon who feeds on said conflict, and it can cure him of his devil gene if defeated. First off, I did not like Jin in this plot. I get that releasing the demon would supposedly rid him of the evil inside of him and allegedly topple corrupt governments and corporations around the world, according to him. But like, what about all the people involved in the conflict that you had to start? I don't think the demon revives everyone too. And second, on that topic, Miguel has full reason to be forever pissed at Jin, so his motivation is to find the man who killed his sister and do the same to him. And he can do this in the games forever, since whenever he does catch Jin, he just releases him saying that Jin hasn't suffered enough, so he has reasons where letting Jin go will lead to an even greater revenge or something like that. Without any techniques, he just has his fists and a dream, but he spent his teenage years being raised by bar owners, so he might have picked up a few brawling techniques along the way. His win pose where he socks and breaks the camera shows that he'll brawl with literally anyone. Every punch and kick seems like a slug, like he flops his limbs and he's ready to keep on going if he hasn't been hit in retaliation. The brawling mindset is even in his default fighting stance. He's just standing there, menacingly or nonchalantly. It's the most neutral stance. No hands up, nothing ready to block. I actually thought he was a drunken fighter the first time I saw him, since he looked so unprepared and a bit stumbly. He has one other stance called Savage Stance, where he leans forward a bit. I'm not entirely sure what it represents, but he can use it for offense to start or extend combos with lows, highs, and everything in between, or use it when idling for defensive options, since he can parry out of it. The main thing you gotta look out for when using him is his lack of speed. He has good fighting instincts when it comes to strength, but agility, he'll just make up for it with more punches.
Parece que estás a punto de perder. ¡Apártate! ¡Me miras!
Number 2, Ralph Jones from the King of Fighters. I really wanted to put Shen Wu here as the King of Fighters rep, but with one character per series, I don't think I could have justified him over the King of Fighters mainstay, Ralph. He's a trained mercenary, so he's not all about the impromptu fighting style, but he does not rely on combos to do his main damage. Raw muscles and explosions for him. For whatever reason, after some of his special attacks, an explosion occurs. I think the reason is because he's Ralph freaking Jones. That just happens with him. He used to have a clone moveset of his teammate Clark, who was more of a traditional wrestler grappler, but when Ralph came into his own, he was all about hitting with that strong punch. He's got his Gatling attack for 3 slow but damaging hits, the Vulcan punch, which is a faster barrage of exploding punches, his dive bomb, where he has the impact of a missile while diving downwards, and the Ralph kick and Ralph tackle, which I love the straightforwardness of the names. The kick is a two-legged jumping corkscrew, and the tackle is a tackle. Probably one of his longest combos on its own, excluding supers, since it can headbutt into headbutt into headbutt. But the move that people know him the best for as the quintessential brawler is Galactica Phantom. He charges up a punch, and if you're lucky enough not to get hit during the startup, it can go half screen and is unblockable. Also, it takes off like a quarter of your opponent's health bar alone, and it lights them on fire, as Ralph tends to do. The move can even shake the camera. As I said, definition of brawler right here with this move. And Ralph's other supers also have that brawler flavor, just barrages of strong punches, and his tackle where he beats the ever-loving crap out of you while he heats up during it. This whole move seems painful and unpleasant, but as you would guess, it isn't a fight with Clark if a few skulls aren't at risk of cracking.
KO! Winner! Yay!
For number 1, we're going to the world of Street Fighter, since I was having a hard time picking just one for the entry. In fact, let's go through my decision-making process first. Street Fighter itself is based on the premise of street fighting, essentially what brawling is. But pretty quickly, the series went to more organized martial arts styles when defining fighting styles, and Satsuken, Kung Fu, Sumo, Yoga for fighting. But every game, we seemed to get at least one brawler. Street Fighter 2 had Balrog, who was a boxer but took a more unorthodox single-hit Iron Fist style. Street Fighter Alpha had Birdie, a barroom brawler who would just headbutt ya, and Cody, who seemed to literally be a Street Fighter, just a strong-ass knuckle punch and picking up a blade on the ground. Street Fighter 3 introduced Q, a man with no backstory, no face, but he just brute forces his way through everything. Street Fighter 4 brought back Balrog and Cody, and Rufus was self-taught, so he's kind of a brawler, but not really. 5 brought back Birdie, Balrog, and Cody, and we also got Abigail, whose whole shtick is being bigger than you. And Street Fighter 6 introduced Marisa, who uses an ancient Greek style of wrestling, which is just hard hit after hard hit. So with all that, who's my number 1? To be honest, I just want to say it's all of them, but if you asked me to pick one, I gotta go with number 1. Q from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. I'm not sure how appealing Q would be as a brawler without the flavor of his design, so let's start with that. How can you create a mysterious character like Q and not expect everyone to go crazy to learn about his origin? But that's the point. He's a person, in a trench coat with a metal mask who speaks in grunts and occasional indistinguishable sentences and doesn't have a skeletal structure. The game acknowledges that he mysteriously appears all over the world, and might have been in Ken's Street Fighter 2 stage, and he's also a secret character to fight on the arcade ladder rather than a standard opponent, so they knew what they were doing. We just have to accept that the point is the forever mystery with him, since the closest we got to learning more was G in Street Fighter 5. He was a potentially different single-letter named man who claimed to be the president of the Earth with explosive powers like we see in one of Q's supers, but then we were told nothing else about him, so no idea on the relation or if either character is connected or even returning, meaning that's all on the backstory. Once again though, I think they knew what they were doing with the limited information. Q himself is based on Robot Keiji from Robot Detective K, who's more of a solver than a fighter. He did have a battle mode, but I couldn't find any hand-to-hand fighting on him. He could also be influenced by the Question from DC Comics, and while I haven't read the comics, I did watch Justice League Unlimited. The Question was a solver too, but when put in the right situation, his only method of fighting was socking a punch or running over people with his car. So overall, not sure why Q fights like how he does, but I tend to think it's a combination of desperation fighting and a super secret backstory reason. Q's brawling is so unrefined. Lighter hits are just open-handed or legged flails, and the heavier the hits get, the more he just puts his whole body into the strikes as he lunges forward with it. Like you can tell he makes up for his lack of muscle by using momentum. His main special moves are his dashing head and leg attacks. He shuffles forward ready to swing his arms more, either high or low depending on the command, and this makes up for his lack of mobility since he locks in for this assault. He then has his high-speed barrage for either a combo ender or just catching his opponent jumping in, once again showing his fighting style is simply moving his arms. And finally, you got his command grab, where once again he slugs ya. He can combo off this grab, but it's usually just a dash punch follow-up, so perfect brawler tactic. Low combo potential, but he hits you hard. And for supers, it's what you'd expect. He's got the multi-punch, the super command grab, and the one that's my favorite but no one ever uses it, the super where he activates an explosive and it only goes off after he slams his opponent against his crotch. The final aspect of his brawling nature is the taunt. When you do it, it increases his health, defense, and stun recovery when you stack up to 3 of them. It's a quick animation where he poses for dominance, so a big reason he wants to knock you away is to get in those taunts. It basically says he's built to last when it comes down to a long-term slugfest. Like, what a fun mechanic. I don't know how interesting this moveset would be if it was just on a dude named Steve, but because it's on this mysterious man, Q is one of my favorite brawler movesets of all time, which is good enough for a number 1 on this list.
You win.
Now, what did you think? Were all these brawlers worth the fist insurance, or would some of them have lost a one-on-one fist fight in their own series? And who are some of your favorite brawlers in fighting games, whether I discussed them or not? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.